Welcome to another edition of Dr. the Doctor in the Chat Room. It is always a great day when we can hang out with you guys in the chat room. We so appreciate you coming back every Saturday to spend this hour with us, because if you didn't do that, then we couldn't do this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Nicole, how are you, ma'am?
Fabulous. How you doing today?
I was doing fine, ma'am.
Good.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you been doing good?
I have. Weather's getting a little better. It's getting a little closer to Gemini season. I'm getting excited. Oh, did I skip over whatever your season was? Because you come right before me, I know.
Yeah, not only did you skip over that, but it's been cold. Where have you been?
Well, we had a couple days here and there where it was like in the 60s, and I'll take that over. My dad told me.
Well, if you're from New York, then it doesn't
say,
okay.
They have snow right now, so I will take 60s over snow any day. Any day. Yeah.
But let's send a shout out to all the women for National Women's Month.
Yes. Go ladies.
Go ladies, because y'all, this world can't work without us.
At all. What did James Brown say? So what did James Brown say?
He said it was a man's world.
But it ain't nothing
without a woman or a girl. Right. Woo, go James. That was the song right there. All right, so you know what? We hear our guests kind of, laughing and giggling in the background. So we may as well just tell everybody who we got with us today in the chat room.
Yes, I'm excited to introduce Mr. Byron Turner. He is the CEO of Technology Transport Incorporated in Greenville, South Carolina. Is that right?
That is right.
Okay, so he's a contractor for FedEx. And wow, he does a whole lot here. Okay. I really want him to kind of tell us a little bit about who he is and about his company, because, it's a little bit better to hear from him. But apparently he's doing his thing. So we are welcoming Mr. Byron Turner to the show today. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
You get a little round of applause.
I'm appreciative of that.
So tell us a little bit about, being the CEO, excuse me, of a company. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you became CEO, a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually it started, I guess I've been driving trucks about 32 years now.
Wow.
So I've been in the trucking industry for about 32 years. Started off in Baltimore, where I'm originally from. Moved to South Carolina in 2008, I believe it was. At that point in time, I was doing home improvement, and the market crashed, and then I went back into trucking. And so started working for FedEx as a driver for an owner-operator there. He had both ground and line haul. Wasn't too much familiar with line haul, which I was. Eventually, I drove for him for like 2 or 3 years, and then I wound up buying that portion of the business from the line haul division, and I've been doing it for about 9 years now.
Wow. My dad used to drive trucks when I was little, and so I remember, being able to kind of sit in with him. And I remember also those really long trips he would take. He would drive back and forth to like Mexico, and he would tell me all these crazy stories, to which some of them to this day, I wonder how many of them
were really true.
Yes.
Right.
So
a lot of stories behind the wheel. A lot of stories.
I bet.
But that's not why he's here today, though.
It's not.
See, there are all these questions that we want to give this gift to our women that women want to ask, right? Yes. They want to know a male's
perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's brave enough to come talk to us. So I say, yay, hats off.
Absolutely.
I want to start with this question, a real simple question. What do men really want from women?
Well, let me answer this from my perspective. So I can only give my experiences, and my experiences led me to know what I want from a woman. And number one is peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, understanding, support, soulful woman, grounded woman, structured woman. And that's pretty much it. You know, men don't really want a lot. You know, we are pretty much, and this cliche is, but we are providers and protectors. And I'm speaking from a real man's perspective. Things that I've done and not necessarily heard. Life experiences, you know, having a strong father in my life. So I was raised with a lot of structure, foundation. That for me led me to be who I am today. And for me, my experiences let me know what it is I want from a woman. And that's pretty much peace, understanding. Most men not going to admit this, but we want nurturers. Most men want nurturers. You hear a lot of today, I hear a lot of alpha females. I don't really believe in alpha male, and I don't believe in alpha female.
Okay. We just talked about this offline.
We did.
Yeah. So for me, there's one man in the household. It was one in my house. You know, I was a young man, but my dad was the man, and we knew that. There wasn't no question to who was the man in the house. But he had a strong woman beside him. So that woman was strong. Although she was strong, she was not the alpha in that household. So women, I think today has gotten, because they have, society today has came a long way. And I'm proud of our Black sisters that are doing their own thing, strong, independent, the ones that are taking care of their kids on their own and having to do a lot. I respect that, I always will, but that does not make them alpha. It just makes them a strong Black woman that understands what it is and what it takes to survive and be recognized as a strong Black woman in today's society.
Okay, can we go back to the peace thing? Because I'm curious to know like what that looks like. Like when men say we just want peace, does that look like I never get to, you know, say my piece? I never get to call you out on anything. I never get to hold you accountable. I don't get to ask questions. Is that what that looks like? Or is that something totally different?
Something totally different. So peace does not mean you do not have a voice.
Okay.
Right? Independence gives you your voice. Having a real man in your life, you won't have to tug and pull. It's not a tit for tat, right? Once you understand each other's role, you understand each other's wants and needs, and you respect each other's wants and needs. Everything else tend to fall in line. So peace just means understand me for who I am. If we come together as a unit, then we have did the work, the initial work of you understanding what it is I want, need, me understanding what you want, need. And then if you do that with proper communication, effective communication, that brings about peace. Understanding is peace. You know, so that's really where peace comes in. We don't have to do a lot of rah, rah, rah. You know, we can agree to disagree, but even in disagreeing, we have clarification on what that is. We have clarity, right? So I'm not going to always agree with you. You're not going to always agree with me. But what we will agree with is what the end result is. And the end result always has to end in peace for the unity to grow, for it to continue. So peace is just understanding, really. You know, everybody wants, want to prove a point. It's not about right or wrong. It's about what do we do collectively to be able to move forward.
Move forward without chaos.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like it.
I do too. Yeah. I've never heard it broken down that way, quite honestly. So
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And everything that I speak of is from my perspective.
mhm.
Things that I experienced and things that I went through in past relationships, past life experiences, um, friends, family, other. It's just things that is needed and required in order to grow um, in each other's space.
Yeah. Ooh, relationships are hard. And if you don't have that, a lot of things you said, the communication, the understanding, um, the ability to like hear each other and agree to disagree, like those are so important in helping the relationship grow and move forward. Those things I feel like aren't always nurtured in the relationship.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for me, a lot of that comes in play when you don't do the groundwork initially, right? Oftentimes we get so infatuated with the physical that we don't really take time to learn the internal person, the intellect person. And so the physical will subside, the structure will not. You build a strong foundation, it will last. If you just throw something together quickly and without thought, without process, most of those things don't manifest. So it's really about just taking the time and doing the work. Although relationships can be tough, they don't necessarily have to be hard if you do the proper groundwork first.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we just want to rush through things and not take the. Yeah, here's the thing here. A lot of us, myself included, we can be in a situation that we know we done seen all kind of red flags, burgundy flags, green, all kind of flags. But we will stay in something because we feel like because of the attraction to someone physically, that we are going to make this work. We are going to make this work and we can make it work and we can make it work, to the point of destruction. You wind up self-sabotaging yourself.
Wow.
Because you knew full well that it wasn't a healthy situation to be in. But we keep pushing, we keep pushing, we keep pushing and fighting for the wrong thing. And I was guilty of that. But my experiences led me to where I'm at today. So it's not always about the physical. Yes, you want to be attracted to your mate. You want to be attracted to your significant other. But if the structure, if the soul, if the heart isn't right, then what are you actually fighting for? What are you truly fighting to keep, to have?
Oof. That's a good question. Wow. Why do we do that, do you think? Like, why do we ignore red flags? Why do we stay in relationships that we know are no good? Why do we do that?
Ultimately, for me, I think it's because we fight for what we think we want and not put the effort in fighting for what we know we need. And so when you do that, you just keep spinning your wheels, because you're looking at the wrong thing. You're not looking at the bigger picture, So fighting for something that you want is always going to be just that, a fight. Because you're fighting for something that's not fighting back for you. Right? And so it's not, if you want it want you, is no longer a fight. It's just a work in progress.
Wow.
So if you find yourself struggling and pulling and tugging and pulling and tugging to be with someone, that's not the person for you.
It's too much work.
You should never have to pull and tug for something that wants you. Should never have to pull and tug.
So we usually, not we, but many times submission is deemed like this dirty word. Okay. We only have about 3 minutes to break, so we can start this and we can pick it back up. What's your take on submission?
Submission for me is, here's my thing. I have no problem with submitting. Men will often say, I'm not submitting. They think it makes you weak. It takes strength for a man to submit to a woman. Most men submit without even realizing that it is submission. But it's submission of love. When you love a person and you care about a person, you want the best for that person. So if they ask for whatever it is they may ask for, you submit by giving it to them because you love them. So it's submission from a loving standpoint, not submission from a weak standpoint, right? So it's ultimately strength in submitting. And so you can use whatever terminology you want to use, but I submit to the person I love, you know? So whether it be my significant other, my daughter, my mom, my sisters, I love them. So I want the best for them. So whatever I can do, if I can give and be a part of their life, be instrumental in their life, then I'm going to submit to whatever it is I can do for them, provide for them, give them, right? So I guess it's all in how you look at it. So for me, submission is a form or act of love, not weakness. I don't look at it that way.
And what's really interesting is most of the time people think of it as like a woman submitting to a man. And when, if we want to really be biblical about it, it says submit one unto another. And I think what you just described makes that make sense.
Yes.
Right. You know, that's why you submit one unto another, because there are times when, you know, both parties are in a state of submission.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. You know, here's a side note. For most people that feel like submission is negative or is giving into something, in most cases, you're with the wrong person.
Oh, now
your mindset has to be,
that's real.
Your mindset takes you to, I'm not giving in. I don't want to submit. I don't want to. That's a negative mindset. That's a negative connotation. So if your process is of such, then you're with the wrong person, because ultimately you want to submit and give the person that's in your life, the person that you love. It's going to just come naturally, right? You won't even look at it as submitting, because you know that this is the person that's worthy of your giving, worthy of your love, worthy of just you, period. So you won't look at it from that connotation. But if you're with the wrong person, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel like you're submitting or giving yourself to someone that's not worthy. And that's where submission comes from.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, I hope y'all are enjoying it. That was pretty deep.
Yeah.
We're at a break. We will be right back on Dr. the Doctor in the Chat Room on 94.7 FM in just a moment. We'll be right back.
And we are back. Thank you for hanging out with us on this Saturday. So we are here with I want to call him a magician of words, because he has just
pulling him out that hat, huh?
Yes, he has just made everything make so much sense, and he's answered these questions in ways that I don't think I've ever heard before. So we're talking to Mr. Byron Turner today, and he's kind of, shedding some light on some of the questions that we as women might have for men. So ladies, pay attention, because he's breaking it down for us today. Okay, so we were just talking a little bit about submission. Now I want to turn to this question. So for you, Byron, because I know you're here to speak about all men or speak for all men. But for you, what are some actions that really annoy you as a man? Some things that women might do that might be kind of your pet peeves, or things that are turn-offs or deal breakers. Like, give us the rundown of what that might look like.
Well, for me, and this can come across maybe offensive to some, but I can only speak for what I like. So I like classy women.
Okay.
And class, this is my version of it. People have their own version of it, but I'm speaking for my version. My version, I don't want a woman that smoke.
Okay.
For me, that's a major turnoff. It's not attractive to me. So that will be my first thing. Second one for me is a woman that does not conduct herself as a lady at all times.
Okay.
I'm not saying she has to be perfect, but I need her to represent herself as a woman at all times. That's very important to me. Woman that use a lot of profanity, that's not classy to me. I'm not saying that she can't have a curse word or two here and there, because she wouldn't be human if she didn't. Right? Okay. Sometimes, people just bring some stuff out of us, and that happens. But for the most part, I need her to represent herself well, verbally.
Okay. Now, what about if y'all, it's just the two of you, y'all at home, and can she?
Yeah, and so even with that, right? Again, a curse word here and there, but just reckless with it.
Okay.
Just because it represents. To me, it represents you can't really have a dialogue without a lot of profanity, right? And so I need to know that I can have a real dialogue with you, and not have to be concerned if that's going to come out. If we at a black tie affair, we at a function or something like that, I need to know that this not gonna happen. Right? Absolutely. Because I am going to rep, and everything that I'm asking for, I'm giving, right? So I'm not just saying, hey, you need to be X, Y, and Z, and I not, right? I'm speaking of things that I represent, right? And you don't have to be present with me to represent you as if you were with me. So we can be together, and I can be in Mississippi, and you can be in Arizona. I'm still representing us. And so that is important for me, that my lady always remain classy, regardless of what the situation is, right? So that's important. So basically just conduct yourself as a woman at all times. Just respect yourself as a woman at all times. And so the catty stuff, I don't like. The back talk and all that stuff, I don't like. But again, if we do the groundwork initially, then I know that I'm walking into a situation that's not even going to be present. Because now I take the time to really do the work beforehand.
Yeah, to really get to know a person.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about this? Women often say good men are hard to find. Do you say that that's true? And if so, why?
It is. And I think it's both sides. Good men are hard to find, and good women are hard to find in today's world, right? And I do recognize that a lot of us did not have both parents, coming up. May have one or the other, right? So I sympathize with those particular situations, instances. Though I can't speak for them all, I think, though, at a certain age, we all should learn something on how to conduct ourselves, right? And so I think that it's just imperative that we represent ourselves as men and women, right? And so it's very difficult if, in fact, you did not have a strong man in the household, right? Or a strong woman in the household. I think that has some impact on today's society, right? Me, I have to say I am very blessed because I had phenomenal parents in my life. And so I was instilled early some good morals, values, structure, stability. So I know what that looks like. So it's easy for me to transcend that moving forward, right? So for others, maybe not so much. So I sympathize with those that did not have that. But I do think that after a certain point in time, you start to learn and develop because you can choose if you want to be a drug dealer or if you want to just get a job. That's a choice, right? So at some point, you choose to do one or the other, regardless if you had good parents or not. You choose to do one or the other. And so with that being said, it makes it hard today to find quality men and quality women. And so you just got to put the work in. They exist, but you have to put the work in. If you do not put the work in and you meet someone, and again, like I said earlier, if you are just caught up on the physical, you're going to miss a lot of the qualities that should be present. So you'll find yourself in and out of relationships, And then that's where the connotation of there's no good men come because you didn't do the work.
Okay, so I have to ask you here. I'm sorry. I have to ask you here because you said that twice about, getting caught up on the physical, right?
Absolutely.
How much of that do we overlook or do we settle? How much of, I don't know, I need to be attracted to the guy.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you kind of said that too, but I'm saying so if that's a need for someone, to be attracted to whoever they're with, because, I'm sure I've met guys that were great guys. I'm sure I have. I'm pretty sure I have.
Right.
I could not move forward.
You know what? This reminds me of a conversation that she and I have had about me in particular, not wanting to date a short man. I'm 6 feet and I just can't do it. And she said, how many good men might you have been missing out on that were 5'9", 5'8"? And I'm laughing because I can't care because they're not tall enough. But I think
absolutely. Now, here's the thing though. So that is very important though. I mean, so I'm not dismissing that. I'm not saying that you should go out and just find somebody if they have a good heart, good soul, provider, protector, and all that. I'm not saying that that's who you should be with. Not at all. Because if you're not attracted to them, that's probably not going to work anyway. Right? Because you're going to still be seeking something that you're missing. The object, though, is to find someone that you are attracted to, but have the qualities that you need to sustain that relationship.
Okay.
And
so
see,
don't just stop there at the attraction. Don't just stop there.
Exactly. So that's what we get caught up in. Men do it.
I
we
guess
do it
the
all the
reason I
time.
say it to you is Nicole, is because I feel like maybe sometimes if you had gone on and had a conversation, you might have found out that there were other things that, drew you. And I'm speaking to myself too, right? I just couldn't get past it, whatever it was, right? Couldn't go there. I get it. I ain't trying. You put your to real. So
I that may be super superficial of me, but 5'8", what am
I? Yeah. Well, again, you have to be attracted to that person. So you have to stay true to yourself, though, right? So
that's what I mean.
Yeah, you have to stay true to yourself. If you want someone or know that you have to have someone that's 6 foot and taller, whatever that may be, whatever it looks like for you, I'm sure there's men that's 6 foot something attractive that has the qualities that are needed for you guys to sustain a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
The thing though is we get so caught up in the attraction of the person. So you meet someone that's 6'1". Okay, guys, he has the height, he has the looks. So now you run with that though. You so engulfed in that you miss what's truly needed along with that. That is the problem. You know, we do it all the time. Men, we've been looking for that Coke bottle all our lives, right? We're gonna be 70, still looking for that Coke bottle, right? And so I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. But I have now learned through my experiences what it is that I want. What do Byron really want? What do I need? Right? And so once I answered that question, then it was easier for me. The process became easy because I don't want to keep repeating the same vicious cycle that's not working, you know? And so you got to do something different. So for me now, it cannot be all about the physical. Oh man, well, she got this, she got that, man. It can't be about that, you know, not all about that. If I'm attracted to you, as long as I'm at least attracted to you, now I am looking for the qualities.
Okay.
Are those things present? And if they're not, I don't care how fine you are. If the substance is not there, I'm not there. And that's it. It's simple. It's simple.
Like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Here. Go ahead, Dr. Shaw. I was gonna say here's maybe a hard question. What are men insecure about?
That is a loaded question. And it depends on what man we're talking about, right? So what I will say is this. Every last one of us are insecure about something. You can say all day long, I don't have no insecurities, false.
Yeah.
Every last one of us are insecure about something, right? I am a very confident man. But there are some things that I can be insecure about. It's how I control and deal with my insecurities, right? So let me just give an example. I love to dance. I've always been a dancer, right?
Really?
Yeah, always been a dancer. So Chicago stepping, hand dancing, and all that stuff, right? I love that style of dance. So I started learning hand dance. I'm Chicago stepping, and I'm out there and I'm dancing, right? So I'm dancing with my lady at the time, but there was the other guys that danced with her way better than I did. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, the dance was beautiful, right? So I'm thinking, man, I need to know how to dance like that too, right? So I'm like, I want to be able to make her smile like that or whatever the situation is, right? So it's how I handle the situation. I'm not going to run out on the floor, you know, and snatch all the floor now because I'm jealous about how she's moving or dancing or whatever, right? So I think it's how you handle that situation. But we all have insecurities. It's just whether we admit it or not. But we all do. But I just think that is how you deal with your insecurities.
That
what's important.
When you say that, it kind of it brings up for me because what you could have done was become really jealous and then raged and then kind of spewed all of that at her. You're insecure about the fact that you can't dance like these men. Now somehow it becomes her fault.
Certainly.
With the other. Okay, so that I get it. That's what you mean by how you handle the insecurity.
Absolutely. So you have to be able to manifest that, right? You have to be able to deal with that within yourself because it's a self issue. It has nothing to do with anything somebody done. You just have to learn how to deal with those issues. And a lot of times we don't take the time to deal with those issues. A lot of us just don't take the time to know us, to learn us, right? And each life experience should teach you something. And if you go away from every relationship saying that it's the other person, well, what they did, well, he did this, or he did that, or she did, then you're missing the whole process of the experience. You really have to inject yourself and say, what could I have done different? What should have I done different? You know, and just process yourself, because ultimately you have to be a better version of you moving forward. And so that's just my perspective. That's how I look at that. Because like I said, again, we all have insecurities. It's just that how we deal with them, and we can't afflict them on someone else.
Yeah.
So we have, every now and then we have girl talk, you know, we'll have ladies come on and we'll have a panel, and then we'll do guy talk as well. And there was this video floating around on social media about this man. He was just kind of being, this older man being braggadocious about having taken care of his wife and his 8 kids for 18 years, and how she never had to lift a financial finger. And then people started commenting, and most of the comments were in line with the concept of that's what a man does, right? He takes care of his family. But there were also some comments that stood out, like when men do that, they're usually really controlling. Someone else said, when this happens, in this case, like women end up giving a man a pass for infidelity, because they don't want to give up the life that they have and have to go to work. So they just deal with, you know, whatever he does, because he takes care of home. I've even heard women say, well, one thing about it, he comes home to me. You know, no matter what he does otherwise, right? I'd like to know, based on that scenario, and this guy taking care of his wife, you know, her not ever having to do anything but just take care of home, and he's got everything else, right? I'd love to know, in a situation like that, how do you see it? Is that what he should be doing? Is that giving, you know, him a pass for infidelity? Is that a man that's probably going to be controlling, that's going to say, I do everything for you, and you is it that? Hold your answer. We'll be right back in a moment on 94.7 FM. And we are still here on 94.7 FM, and we are talking to Byron Turner. What do you think about that scenario, Byron? What do you think is going on?
So I believe that is individuality stuff, right? So I can't speak on that man and his family, or what he did for his family. It could have been how he was raised. He could have been raised that way, that's what he saw, and he's following that, right? So that's a hard one to depict. I think at that point, it's all on individual preference. A lot of people probably speak on it that's been involved in that situation, and so they may be speaking from their life experience. I have not yet myself experienced that lifestyle. And I guess really until I do, I really don't know what to say or speak on, because I really don't have no experience in that arena as far as that's concerned. So that's individual preference at that point, I believe.
But do you believe that there are some men that just want to take care of home, you know, wife and kids, and I'm saying, and just really want to make,
Absolutely, without a doubt, without a doubt. And again, a lot of that could have been their upbringing. You know, there's a lot of women that were stay-at-home moms. You know, and the only one work was the dad. You know what I mean? And actually, my dad worked. My mom did not work. You know, but she had 12 kids, so she was always working. It was 12 of us, right?
Yeah, so that's a job. Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, it's a job. You know, but as far as leaving the house and going to work, she did not. You know, and so my dad did provide. You know, so I think that's where I do have a strong sense of providing and protecting. But I have yet to experience that side of things. And it could have been too, that was back in the 60s and 70s. You know, a lot of that was prevalent back then. Today is not so much. You know what I mean? Especially now with a lot of women doing their own thing. You know,
Mhm.
you got a lot of independent women out here now that's different from back in the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. So they're living different. Today's society is just different. So you
So
got
what
a
do you
lot of
think
women.
about that? What do you
Yeah.
think about a woman that would say, you know, let's say you could provide for her and you know, she doesn't have to work,
Mhm,
but she wants to.
mhm.
How would you view that?
By all means. Because she still is her own individual person, right?
Mhm.
So she has to have an individuality. You know what I'm saying? So uh kudos to that. You know, by all means, you know, if she want to work and have her own life and live her own life and do her own thing as far as that's concerned, then I applaud that. You know, absolutely.
I've heard some men, and you know, sometimes it's older men, sometimes it's younger men. But I have heard some men have a slight issue with a woman being either successful or with the man feeling like she is more successful than he is. Uh,
Mhm, mhm,
and so, you know, like let's say for instance, maybe she makes more money than him.
mhm,
Maybe
mhm,
she has more degrees than he does. I know that there are men out there who would not have a problem with that, but I
mhm,
also know that there are men who would absolutely have an issue with that. Now, whether they would say it out loud or not might be something different, but
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
what is that about for those men that would have an issue with a woman making more money or having more degrees or you know what have you?
Right. I think at that point we're going back to dealing with insecurities, right? A woman that makes more than a man is different from what used to be, right? So you're moving into a whole different genre, a whole different generation, where now a lot of women are making more than men,
Mhm.
right? So that's kind of new. It's hard for most men to adapt to, right? But the reality of it is that woman put in the work. If
Mm.
that's what she chose to do and she put the work in, then she should be accomplished. She should be rewarded for her actions, for her work that she put in, right? And I think it should be respected.
Mhm.
I think though, for me, um, I've pretty much dated doctors, lawyers, and all that. I always commend them, right? Because it's not easy. You know, that's not nothing you just take, 2 weeks to do. It's a lot of work put in that. And
Mhm.
so women want to show their work. You know, they want to be known for the work that they did, and they should be.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, it doesn't matter in the sense of that I am still a provider and a protector. Whether you make more than me or not does not change my role in that
Mm.
household, right?
Wow.
I am still the protector. I am still the provider. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so as long as I hold on to what my job is as a man, what you do and what you make is just a reward to you for your efforts. But it does not take away my job. And my job is to always provide and protect, period.
Okay.
Equally yoked. What's your definition of it?
Uh that equally yoked is, it depends on what form. What form are we speaking of, right? If we're talking,
I'm speaking like everything, like spiritually, um, you know, lifestyles, I guess I would say. I
mhm,
mean, and you're right in what you're saying, because some people may
mhm,
think that might be some of the stuff Nicole just talked about, same education level or
mhm,
same, but I'm speaking more spirituality. Um, I
right,
don't know. That's a big highlight for me, like it being spiritually
right, absolutely, absolutely.
unyoked.
Right, right, right. And I think it goes back to the two people involved, right?
Mhm.
If you do the groundwork in the beginning, if you Baptist and I'm Muslim, if we do the groundwork in the beginning and we are meant for each other, I think our spirituality will also connect. I think it still would align because we have done the work that links us to each other, right? Um, and I'm saying that because I know of a lot of people that as far as their spiritual background, their beliefs are in two different areas, right? But they work very well together. My sister being one, she's Baptist, he's Muslim, right? And we always say, whoa, well, this ain't gonna work, right? But it's not for us to judge. They made it work. It works great. They've been together 20 years now. So I just think it's about the people and doing the work that's required, getting to really understand each other's wants, needs, and just the flow of things. You have proper communication and understanding, clear understanding. I think you can make just about any situation work if, in fact, that's there. That has to be present. Has to be present.
So here's another question that I wanted to ask because, and I think this is one of the ones that we never get to. We get so engrossed in the other stuff when we had a girl talk and the guy talk.
Mm-hmm.
But 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7 defines love in this way. And I'm reading the NIV version. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. And it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres.
Absolutely.
How difficult do you think it is to experience that kind of love? Do you think that very few get to have all of those elements of love?
I think so. And I'm going to say that because a lot of people really don't know what love is. They use love so loosely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, really to sum it up, love is just kind, peace, right? Trust, forgives, patient, understanding. All of that comes with proper communication, right? If you understand the person that you're with, and you truly love the person you're with, all of those things gonna fall into play because you truly love them. But so many, I love you, I love you, I love you. Like you really don't even know what love is, right? So I'll tell you I love you, but then I'm cussing you out 10 minutes later, right? Or I lose my patience with you, right? That's not love. So you really have to identify what love is, understand what love is before you can use the term. And so many of us use that term without really understanding what it is. Yeah. And so in that regard, a lot of us are living what we think is love, and it's really not. You're just so infatuated with a person. It's something about that person that drives you, that motivates you. And it may be one or two things, but that's not enough to sustain the relationship. That's not enough to say that I love this person, right? And so you really have to, when you say love in a relationship, just think about a family member. If you're close to your mom or close to your dad or your son, your daughter, or whatever, that's love because that's going to be unconditional, right? You got dads out here with sons that are, on the other side or whatever, right? But if you love them unconditionally, then you love them, right? You may not like what they do, but you still have to love them for who they are, right? And so that's where real love come in at. If you can identify that within your relationship, then you have developed and found real love, right? And it's easy. It feels good, right? It feels good. So I've never known love to not feel good. Ooh. If you're if you're sick and someone just come and just rub your shoulder or rub your head or just be there for you, right? It's a good feeling. That's because that person loved you. You know, if you sick, if your partner is sick, you almost feel sick.
Yeah.
Right? That's what
Especially
that
when you're a
is.
nurturer. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If your son falls on a bike and scrape his leg, or your daughter, you hurt for them, right?
Yeah.
You want to take that pain. Like why this, you know, so that's love, right? So it's
Yeah.
when you find that, you found something. Trust and believe.
So you've mentioned effective communication a few times,
Mhm.
in maybe all of your answers, which I love. But why is that so hard for people? Why is that so hard for couples to have effective communication, do you think?
I really, I guess it comes from a whole bunch of different things, right? It can be pulled from experiences, you know, growing up. They may not have experienced, they may not have seen it. So a lot of people just don't know what it looks like, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's why I say that in your relationships, the ones that did not work, you need to learn yourself and figure out why. And a lot of it is going to roll right back to communication. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of it, you know, a lot of men do not like to communicate, right? They don't like to dialogue. You know, they're going to give you a short answer. They don't really want to talk about nothing and this, that, and the third, right? But
Yeah.
it's needed. It's really required, right? They always say we can't figure women out and this, that, and the third, whatever. And women say the same for men. Can't figure men out this because the communication barrier.
But if
And I,
people don't want to communicate, then how do we communicate with people who don't want to?
but
And
here's
you know, we talk about this a lot, like growing up, like in our culture, for
Mhm.
example. You know, there was always this, you know, if you were trying to have a voice, you were probably talking back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mhm.
wonder, did that stifle communication processes to some degree too? I mean, just a thought. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. I think at the end of the day, though, it comes. Here's the thing: if you have someone that just does not want to communicate,
Yeah.
regardless of if you know who, what, when, where, and how,
Come on, preach, Byron.
you
You get ready
have
to
to
preach.
remove yourself from that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dead end.
Every
It's
time.
truly a
Woo!
dead end, right? And
Yes, it
so,
is.
and so, and I will say this: you do want to try to work with them though, because all people just, you know, not all people just know how to communicate
Yeah.
effectively,
Give them a
right?
chance to
So you
grow.
have to put some work in, right? So I'm not saying
Mhm.
just dismiss them out the gate, but you
Mhm.
have to put the work in, and sometimes it may take counseling or whatever the situation is. But that's what I mean by doing the work initially, right? These are things that you need to learn up front.
Mhm.
And this is for everyone. Communication effectively, proper, is very, very important. If that is not present early on and you can't get that on track, dead end,
Yeah.
period. Dead end. And see, this is where we stay too long
Yeah.
because you know you're not getting that. You know you're not being fed
I want to
that,
shout or something. I
right?
don't know.
And so you're not being fed that, but you want to just holding on, holding on.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna get it out of them, or we gonna figure this
Woo!
out. It's gonna be better, and it's okay. And he said
Yeah.
next time, or she
I
said I'm
could
gonna get it.
thank him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, not gonna happen.
Okay, so I do want to leave a little bit of time for this last question, I think. Okay, soulmates. Tell me what your opinion is about them, maybe what your definition is about them. Do you believe in soulmates? We got about 3 minutes.
That's a good one. And that, you know, I don't know that I necessarily believe in soulmates.
Okay.
I believe in, um, let's say, collective soul ties, soul energy, right? If you have, and again, here we go again. If you can communicate with someone effectively, that's like a soulmate kind of energy, right? Because it's very rarely does it happen,
Yeah.
right? So if you can at least get that going, then that starts the process of something good, right? Because oftentimes either one or both do not know how to do that. So, but if you can get that going and you can have good dialogue, you can have peace, love is being represented, effectively, then it's something special about that, So I don't know if that's a soul tie or if that's soulmate or if that's a spiritual bond, or if it was just meant to be. But if those things are present in both parties and you guys utilize that very well together, then it's obviously something. I'm just going to say it's something special, and it doesn't happen often. And you need to run for the hills with that person.
Well, all right. Thank you for that. I really appreciate this male perspective that we
This
got.
inside scoop.
Yes. Yes. This man with the magic words.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We thank you for hanging out with us.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. Thank y'all for having me. Must
gotta
do this
come back.
again.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
And bring
That's-
a friend. Bring a friend.
Oh, trust me, I will. Trust me, I will. Definitely.
Well, we enjoyed it again, and we always enjoy you guys being here with us every Saturday. Same chat channel, same chat time, and we will see you next Saturday right here on 94.7 FM. Dr. to Doctor in the chat room. We'll see you then.